And we're drawing. Ladies and gentlemen, we're drawing again. Just let you know we're drawing. If it got any worse, I'd have whipped out another monitor and ran a dual monitor display so I could check the stupid feed. Okay. Okay. That deserves a quick message to the people. Okay. There we go. There we go. There we go to draw Batman. I don't know which Batman I'm going to draw yet. I don't know. We'll see how it goes in a second as we flesh out our Batman type guy right here. I'm actually going to picking up my brush a little bit, I guess. Sort of. Let's do a little layer action here. Add another layer. Make the brush a little bigger. Oh, that's a 20. That's huge, right? How big is that? You know, I'll take it. A 20 is actually not bad. Okay. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. If anyone wants to hop on the chat and say anything, I'm here, but I think that one viewer is me still. Until someone proves me otherwise, I think I am my only viewer, which is fine. All these videos will end up on YouTube one day. Someone might stumble upon one and say, hey, that was a waste of my time. That was 25 minutes I'll never get back. Who is this asshole Dante Armatics? Screw him. Screw that guy. Boo that man. Come on, pencil. Okay. So on Tuesday next week, my GoFundMe account helped me get a new monitor, a pin touch monitor, which means just like this Magic Fujitsu I'm using right now, which is on a relatively small screen, tends to get hot like fire and decide it doesn't feel like working after a while. Just I'm done for today. You might want to keep drawing, but I, don't. And and so sometimes it can get a little difficult to do this for long periods of time. And this is my second such device. The first one was a little older. People were astonished at how old my tablet was at the last art school I went to. Like, oh my God, it's so old. And I didn't know how old it was. I felt mildly insulted, but then I found out it was really that old. It's just the person who provided it for me, who sold it to me, took really good care of it, and made it a powerful machine long past its days of presumptive power. You had to get under the hood. You had to make it right for the people. You got another viewer? Welcome. We're drawing Batman. We're drawing effing Batman. I wonder who that is. I wonder who that is popping in here and looking at my Photoshop skills. You know what I realized? Why I wanted to draw Batman all of a sudden? The pants. I've never understood tights. I never understood why Batman would wear them. Spider-Man kind of makes sense because he doesn't want to make any noise. He's like a little ninja. And then Batman doesn't want to make any noise too. However, that giant cape sort of defeats the whole not making noise purpose. And then also the big giant effing combat boots. And then it's the silliness of it all that I always thought Batman was so cool about. Like, wait a minute, you're telling me that he's already like 6'6" and like all the pounds of like no body fat and muscles and just muscles and aggression and Sherlock Holmes like intellect. Okay, that's fine, I buy that. But now he's so ninja like in his ninja ness that he can run around with these big ass, thick Claude Hopper, Klaus Janson, Frank Miller combat boots and not make a sound. That is definitely a get the fuck out of here with that. But it's hilarious to think about how dope Batman is in that regard. Like, how do you sneak up on somebody like that when you're that damn big? It's ridiculous. You know, it's the absurdity of Batman is probably my favorite thing about Batman in general. This is a standard, this is a character pose. Um, I don't know how long I'll even feel like doing this regular pose thing. I don't know. I might lose interest. I try and take advantage of every opportunity to challenge myself, and this one seems like kind of a layup. But I'm so indecisive, and I wanted to keep practicing with all this recording software that if I decided to think about it for a long period of time, I'd still be thinking about it and not just drawing. So right now, this is more about getting it all figured out. You might have just joined us, well, me, and it took me a minute to even get the screen to pop up. Luckily, I had the playback of the Twitch channel, which I don't usually use the recording software for actual Twitch channel stuff. I have a bunch of videos from my drawings being recorded that are on my YouTube channel, which is Dante Armatics, YouTube or whatever, and then my Facebook page, which is also Dante Armatics. And then you can follow me on Twitter at Dante Armatics. It's just a lot of Dante Armatics going on over there. So, you know, TC is what it is. Now, personally, there's been a lot of great artists to draw Batman. I mean, it's kind of like one of those things. And so, Brian Azzarello, Greg Capullo, like, amazing, right? Their work on Batman. I want to say, wait, Azzarello might be a writer. I think I got that wrong. I think Greg Capullo is the artist, and Azzarello wrote some of the cool stuff. The new guy now isn't Greg Capullo, but he's, well, excellent. But I like his new work, and I can't think of his name. But going back, you've had Jim Lee had a really good run on Batman. Let's see here. My favorite, of course, is Neil Adams. Neil Adams' Batman, I thought, is the classic Batman up until the Tim Burton era movies kind of gave Batman a bit of a subtle overhaul over the course of the next decade or so. So you can see a definite change in even the color scheme. People don't remember that for a long time. Batman's costume was like gray and blue, you know. Um, but yeah, all right, that's a good layer. Let's tone this down. I don't know how much commentary I'm gonna be able to keep providing. It's kind of sometimes you guys get lost in what you're doing, and I'm not really trying to show you how to draw. I just figured it might be interesting to take a look at this while I do it. I don't know. Um, the whole idea is on my YouTube channel. Once my monitor gets here and I'm reset up for my tower to do all my artwork, then you'll be able to watch me do my comic book Metro PD every day. So when I get to work on my comic book, and I won't work on it without the audience, so that you can see literally the comic book being made from scratch. And then you should hopefully be able to read it for free on my Facebook page, but also be able to buy a physical copy in order to see the extras that will be available on the physical copy of the 30-page book. So it's a 30-page comic book, and I'm going to do 12 issues of the Metro PD, and then the next 12 issues set for the overarching saga. And then what you'll be able to do is buy an individual issue for hopefully no more than $5 or whatever. And in the end of the issue, after the 30 pages that you got for free, you'll see like some backup stories that kind of flesh out the overarching story more. My plan is to publish under CreateSpace like I publish all my other stuff. But I was talking to a guy on Twitter who said I should check out Kablam or Kaboom, which might give me essentially like the dimensions I want for a comic book publication. Right now, the plan is to publish the comic books the size of a manga book, because it's a create spaces for novels. So I was going to contort to the novel recommendations and just do it that way, which I have no problem with. I like manga, and I think it'd be cool to produce a manga book. But I'm thinking the 30-page, or probably at the end of it all, 60 pages or so, give or take, may still be kind of light for their printing process. So we'll have to see. All right, so let's give it a layer 2. See what we got. Oh, so good, so good, so good now. No feet, but that's okay. Give me some combat boots to beat the band. Let's see here. That's a new layer. Oh, I'm gonna make it a little bigger. Give me a little bigger brush action because that looked pretty nice there. And we're gonna zoom on in. And let's see what we get when we start flushing out. Oh, and that's a no. I like that. I like this brush. I like this brush, and I cannot lie. Yeah, I said that. I did that. If I'm quiet for a while and someone would like to see or hear music, just kind of let me know, and I will do something about the sound of my melodious voice. It is melodious. I can't sing. I'm not saying it's a good melody. It is, but it is a melody. It's melodious. I love that word. It's a cool word. My favorite word for the record is shenanigans. I call shenanigans. I spell it all the time just to practice, making sure that I can spell it when needed. It's like a it's like a tool or a club in my bag. It's the shenanigans club. It's my favorite club to go to. I call shenanigans on that, especially when I'm in a place where I can't, say I call bullshit. I try to avoid situations where I can't curse. Like don't go to the post office because you're not supposed to curse in the post office. So just never go to that motherfucker. Fuck that shit. I want to curse. It's my right as an adult. Fuck that bullshit. Fuck that noise. I will curse my ass off, but not in the post office. So I just don't go. I don't go. Or get out and start get super Tourette's all of a sudden. Son of a bitch, the goddamn post office. Fuck. You know. Yeah. But yeah, I kind of missed hanging out and drawing at my favorite locations in California, and so now I'm way out here in Jonesboro, Georgia, doing my thug dizzle. Looking for a 9 to 5 to kind of support the deal. Man, this Batman is not coming out the way I want. This is the part of it that just seems kind of like tedious, and it's only because I don't like or really want this much detail. But I feel like I gotta represent certain aspects of the character model, even if at the end of it you don't see it, because it's got to be accounted for when I start going on the later parts of the drawing. So I don't really care for the 90s era, every muscle defined sort of thing. I honestly don't. Even though I did say Neil Adams is my favorite artist or my favorite Batman artist, he just does a great job. It works for him. It's not my most favorite style to employ. If I could get away with an even more simple minimalist approach, I would, and I kind of do get away with it, but I can't just imagine where that stuff's supposed to be. I know in my classes and stuff, they were like, yeah, eventually you'll get to the point where you won't have to actually draw some of the boxes. And I feel like I'm kind of there in some respects, but if I don't sweat some of the small stuff, it just at the end of it all, it's a nagging kind of sensation that I miss something. So it does slow me down. I mean, I guess it's supposed to. Art isn't supposed to be at super speed, but you know, it's kind of a downer sometimes that I feel like I'm trapped in an aspect of my art that I can't go on to the next thing. I can't shelve it for later. It's not a painting. Like on my paintings, I'm way less linear, and I will just if I'm gonna paint, I'm gonna really put on color and texture and give like two shits about the line detail because you're not gonna see a lot of it. The painting I'm working on now is called Survivor at Dawn. And you can see it's up to day 5, um, which is not mean consecutive. It means I've spent 5 days working on it, but it was started before I actually left for Georgia, so I actually haven't sat down to play with it. I was up in Tennessee working with my uncle on some landscape to make a few bucks, and I had so many blisters and bug bites and just miserable feelings about my hands and feet that even though I wanted to draw because I was exhausted, I just couldn't because my hands hurt so bad. I mean, I had blisters on the inside of my thumb area, like right in here. This is Batman's friggin' come on, come on, come on, come on, Lappy Crappy. There you go. This is right here on both hands where these. Come on, Lappy Crappy. Let's do it. There we go. Slow bastard. Move. I need you to come back. Oh, there you go. Now get out of the way. There you go. Alright. Both hands. Blisters right here. Big, angry blisters. And on my right hand, which is this one, it would not heal. Because every day I'd have to go out and grab a rake or some other kind of piece of machinery or equipment and keep using that hand. It was a bloody mess for like 4 straight days. And now they both look gross. But it's funny because, like, it's been about a week or so since I've been home, and now it's like a badge of honor. Like, I'm a real man. I fucking worked on the ground and fucking got dirty and shit and pushed a lawnmower and cut down a tree. Give me that tree, I'll cut it down for you. Yeah, it was fun. It was some serious work involved, but it was fun. I enjoyed it. So Jim Lee has always sort of been like an extremely impressive artist. Like, it's just he reminds me of an evolution of George Perez. Just so, like, routine in the nicest way to say routine in a positive way. It's not that it's the same every time necessarily, but it is. Like, it's consistent, but consistently awesome and consistently detailed. And even though he has such a consistent quality where you just get the same level of attention to detail and time and energy you feel like he spends in it. It's uniform, but you even though those words might seem like you're like a backhanded a compliment. I can't explain it. Like, he's a craftsman of the highest order, and I don't know that I'm that good of a craftsman. I don't think that my artwork is ever that consistent. I don't get my Nomar on good enough to always do it right every single time. And George Perez is the master of doing it right every single time. And if he is the master, then Jim Lee is the Vader. I don't know. Like, both guys are dope. Jim Lee comes from an era where there's a different sort of aesthetic, but I feel like the approaches are so similar. And I've read some Jim Lee interviews. I don't know what he thinks of George Perez's work. You'd assume that he thought he was cool. I mean, I don't know, but yeah, I have some old Jim Lee stuff. Like, I think that one of the first books he jumped on from Marvel was actually some Punisher stuff. He drew Punisher before he got famous on the X-Men books, and um, if you could find some of those, they're cool. I used to read all of the comics pretty much. Like, I got into journalism as a professional because I had a background in comics that made me a comic book historian. Like, I can tell you all about comics before anything before 2010. I know everything about comics before 2010. Like, that's just as sad as that sounds, but it's just kind of the truth. Um, okay, you see that? Let's see. We got a little issue there, so I'm just gonna put this guideline here and sort of get a good look at this because I gotta fix these legs. His body is facing this direction, and my pencil doesn't like the surface right now. And this is one of those it doesn't need a nib pins, so I never know exactly what to do when the pin feels weird. Like, I think 1 second, easier to do it this way. I think yeah, let's just do that like that. All right, and then we're gonna kind of orient our guy better. And remember that we're working on a layer, so I don't have to fix it all here, but I want to at least show the proper stance before I move on to the next layer. But it's either my hand sweating really bad, which is irritating as balls. That's the trade-off from being in Georgia. Everything turns to basically a heap of my own sweat. I try and draw at night. Doesn't matter. It's like somewhere, someplace, Storm finds out that I'm drawing and makes it hot. It could be 2 o'clock in the morning, and she's like, oh, he's drawing again. He hated X-Men 1. Heat wave. Fuck that guy and his drawing. So I'm using my old gloves for this warehouse job I had recently, just to kind of keep my hands dry while I work. Because even though the let's see here. Sorry, give me a second to really think about this. Even though, see, when I have a difficult angular perspective and I just keep plugging away, Photoshop is what makes that such a worthwhile sort of not that bad situation. Because if this was pencil and paper, I'd be destroying my work right now. I wouldn't be able to recover from all this lead on the paper. And so when you teach people to draw, you teach them not to erase, and you teach them to take great care. And most of it is not because to not do those things is bad. It's because with what they have to work with, they're going to make their job harder in the long run. So you have to be like, okay, well, you need you to draw like really, really faint and light so you can erase it. Like everything is about greater care and the end result. Photoshop is like magic paper. If you think about magic paper, you can think about Photoshop in that regard. All those rules just typically don't apply because it doesn't matter how many times you erase. You're not going to degrade the paper. It doesn't matter how hard you push on the pen necessarily because you're not going to put any permanent grooves in the paper. You can't destroy your indestructible paper when you're dealing with Photoshop. And that is where you can take those risks and keep screwing around as much as you feel like. Because at the end of the day, you can just wipe the slate clean at no penalty. And that's why Photoshop is so cool. And I think I've probably said this in a video more than once, but I can't stress it enough. I like Photoshop. I do. It makes my efforts meaningful from top to bottom, but without any commitment. Like I can just totally say, you know what, I don't like any of this. This sucks. I'm just gonna start over. And there we go. Look, starting over from scratch, baby. But no, wait. I was wrong. I like this again. We're back, and we're doing our thing. I like that. I do. I really do. But the double-edged sword of that is you still have to be patient, and I have an issue with patience. I do, and so that is the other reason for my desire to record these. One, it's I don't know, free promotion in a way. People can see the recordings and go, you know what? When that guy's comic book's finished, I kind of want to read it, and that's all I really need, you know. And then the other thing is, if I think someone's looking, just the idea that someone's looking, it's like I behave better as an artist. I think about what I'm doing more as an artist, and I give myself the extra couple of seconds or whatever to do my thing, like to do it right the first time, instead of getting in a hurry, getting impatient, and drawing when I'm not really ready, or going when I'm not really ready, and then being mad at the art later on and wishing I had never had like even told anyone that it existed because it seemed like it was good at one point, but now it's not good anymore at all. You know. Okay, so really quickly just we're gonna do a little eye work here, just some basic shapes. Again, sometimes I will rush through this part because I'm just always in a dang hurry. I couldn't draw for a long time. I actually uh, grew up, and it's completely possible that I was artistically inclined, but I just never really gave it a legitimate shot as a little kid, like a 10-year-old. I started drawing like the comic books I read a little bit like in my early junior high school, but I still like no one said, "Hey, that kid can draw." Like no one. It was just like, man, that kid needs to find a regular job. If his hopes and dreams are tied to comic books, he is screwed. And they might have been right because I'm getting so long in the tooth to not have already made it in the comic book business, you know. So I mean, the jury's still out on whether or not this is going to be a worthwhile effort for me. But I really enjoy it, and I think personally that that's kind of what matters. But I guess you never know, you know. You never know. Come on, compy, let's do it. Let's do it. Come on, there you go. Let me see it. All right. Also, I talk to my computer like this all the time, and I have to remember sometimes that I'm at like a Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks, and so I can't really like talk out loud because then it's no longer interesting. It's just weird. So that's also why I think I like having the idea of someone watching via this sort of format because I can talk to my computer and it's just mildly entertaining. I mean, I don't know. It's also vanity. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it's art is a performance all in and of itself. And so, if I'm gonna perform, I want to perform doing something I really enjoy. And this is something I really enjoy, and it's therapeutic. It's therapeutic in a way. And Frank quietly also draws a mean Batman. A little bit. I like his work on Batman a little bit more than I like his work on Superman. Only because the first time I ever saw him do his thing, it was in the Authority books, which are like super mature audience, territory, and he's built for it. He just has a very interesting, classic, almost Will Eisner esque sort of style, but it just, oh man, it's hard to explain why it works so well. But when it comes to Superman, it's almost suggestive because he draws like that darker tonal stuff so convincingly that it automatically makes Superman, instead of seeming more just photorealistic and cinematic, it makes Superman seem a little dark only because I associate him with books like The Authority. Because if you never read The Authority, I don't know how big of a comic book fan you are, but it's worth taking a look at. I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and if you read The Authority, well, one, the creative force behind The Authority had a great deal of influence into the Ultimates, which of course is where you get some of the aesthetic for the Marvel Cinematic Universe uh, movies. This the thing about it, which is I think probably a great idea at the end of the day, is that Marvel, Batman, not Captain America. Captain America does the thing. Batman doesn't do the thing. Anyway, um, the aesthetic for uh, the Marvel movies is definitely the Ultimate books, but the actual we're just gonna kind of I don't know what this is right now. Just sort of come on, mirror image, you can do this. Okay, and this is all, of course, early layer stuff. Just sort of putting it down so I can see it, and then I can make changes later. And we'll maybe take a quick little break. Just, I got a viewer. I feel bad about taking a break with the viewer hanging out there, but you never know. Okay, so okay, let's take a look. Let's back away, back away. So stiff, so stiff, but you know how I go. Let's see here. Well, I'm gonna reduce the opacity. When I first started doing all this, I used to draw in different colors, like I was using color pencils. But opacity actually just is a bit more, it's a bit better, I guess. Okay, I don't know how long I've been recording. Gotta keep an eye on that. But it's, oh gosh, it's 5 o'clock here. It's actually kind of dinner time. I've been kind of getting my exercise on, kind of slim down a little bit. I'm a bit tubby. I'm a tubby fat guy. I'm a bastard. I'm a fat bastard. But I'm working on it, so I don't want to eat so late. So I'm actually going to take this quick break here, and I'll probably throw on a little bit of background music so it doesn't get so this fat guy's talking for hours going on. But we got some progress in. Um, let's see here. Let's find a brush where I can just, there we go. 30 times 30. Oh, come on, baby. There you go. Lap it, tap it. Lunch, break, time. Even though I'm assuming you're on the West Coast because I don't have any friends in the East Coast. So I'm gonna stop the recording. I'm not gonna make you sit here or hang in there. What I'll do is, here we go. don't know who you are, viewer, but I'm going to say hello to you. Okay. Okay. Let's do that there. We're going to save. Desktop, sure.